Well, I'd like to work in with a demonstration, a reminder of behind all the written work we do, all our lives, is the oral tradition, the oral performance tradition, storytelling around campfires. If you were a Roman soldier and after conquering a neighboring tribe or corner of Africa, you were entitled to so many slaves, one of the things you did was train a slave to be your scribe. Value add to that slave's physical ability and the skill of being a scribe in Latin, the Vulgate. You train people to be rightful, still soft religions now. But behind all the writing is the oral tradition, and I want to celebrate the oral tradition today with a few songs from my barbershop quartet. Woody and I organized in 1995, the first edition. We called ourselves mixed company in those days. Now we're equal time because it's the PC era. The two women in our quartet get equal floor time with the two men, equal voicing, so we're all this together. But the Democrat asked me to do an article about why I like barbershop harmony music and to fold in some history. So I did a snapshot. In the fall, Randy Atwood's in charge of the arts now. She's done a really great job, and I knew her from before. And so I talked about the power, the authority of the unaccompanied human voice. Not a big backup, Glenn Miller band, but the voice itself, the pure voice, singing the songs of triumph, love, marriage, loss, celebration, military victory. When you have the community chorus in the Greek choral structure, the chorus in the Greek plays actually did a chant, had a musical pattern to it. But go way back, people who didn't know how to write could tell stories and learn to sing, and they sang of the good and the bad, and the celebration and loss and love, all the great things. Now, so for several thousand years we've had a great oral music performance tradition, just the voice itself. And I mean just in the sense of only the human voice. And then we learn how to add parts and do harmonies. One of the natural harmonies in oral performance is a third, 3 notes apart. Another natural harmony is a fifth. Another is a seventh. Some of you know music know about some of these things. Now what's unique about our tradition is that the most immediate source for barbershop harmony music are the black barbershops of the 30s and 40s especially, even a little earlier, because the Society for the Preservation and Encouragement of Barbershop Quartet Singing in America, Scrub Squad, was formed in 1938 by a couple of men on the roof of a hotel in Tulsa, Oklahoma, who said, I love that 4-part harmony I hear in black barbershops, because so many of the barbers were black. And the barbers would sing to entertain the customers and to entertain themselves. And what's unique about barbershop music, those of you who've sung chorus music, how many have done chorus? Anybody? Okay. You've got your melody line, you've got your baritone below the lead, the bass down here, then above the lead you have the tenor. And that's the add-on in barbershop that's so fascinating. When you hear this in country music and the Stanley Brothers, the two brothers would sing a third apart. You have the lead line and the tenor above him, or sometimes dropping below as a baritone. But in our music, we always had the tenor line playing with the melody, doing counterpoint. The bass at the bottom, and the lead carrying the melody, and right below the lead, the baritone filling in the missing spaces in that range of the song. So it's a fascinating and complex harmony. Black barbershoppers came out of black storytelling tradition. A lot of our slaves, the barbershoppers of the future, athletes of the future, if you go way back, came from Senegal and Gambia, from the hump of West Africa, through the slave gate. And they brought with them storytelling ability and singing ability. And then as they found jobs or even doing work songs in the fields and what we now call gospel music, on Sundays and church services, these harmonies came out. And out of those harmonies evolved barbershop harmonies. Now what I put on each table is a program from our 3 concerts this past week. We're a volunteer. We sell tickets. We have only one paid position. That's our director, and the rest of us sing for free and love it. And we have some pretty good graphic artists, as you'll see at the cover. And I mentioned earlier, a few minutes ago, before a couple of you got here, that the only problem with the program is they left out Woody's and mine and Donna's and Linda's quartet. They listed 5 of the quartets, but not all 6 of us. So we made up for it by singing first and nailing our song and having a good time and kicking the thing off pretty well. Y'all come up and let me introduce you, and we'll talk. We have a quiz tonight to start this off to honor the oral tradition. I want you to tell, after listening to each of us talk, where we're from geographically. Keep your comments to yourself, and then we'll see how well everybody does. All right, I'm going to go last. I'm going to let Linda go first. Talk to your normal way. Linda Shelley. She's our lead.
Easy. I'm easy.
You're easy.
Yes, I'm a retired nurse, and I moved to Tallahassee, and when I got here, everybody said, "You talk funny." And you know what I said to them? Forget about it.
Where's she from? Where in New York?
Long Island.
Keep going.
Brooklyn.
All right. Okay. Donna sings tenor in our quartet. Lead, lead and baritone in the women's quartet. Donna and Linda also sing in a women's quartet, all women's quartet, different parts. But she's lead in our quartet. Donna.
I have been here for 30-some years, and I think I'm pretty well lost my accent. But every once in a while, an A slips out.
Good.
A. Yeah.
Which part of the county?
That's it.
Somebody say Toronto? Very good.
Ontario, she said.
Okay, what do you talk for?
Well, I was doing
Professor of geology, sings baritone.
I was doing a postdoc in Switzerland, and there was a professor who's I'm related to, it turned out, who was doing a sabbatical there, and he got a query from FSU looking for somebody to apply for a paleontology position. So he connected us, and I got hired sight unseen 41 years ago. First and only job. And that you couldn't do today. You're not allowed to do something like that today. But back then it was the old voice system, I guess. I don't know. But I loved it when I got here. I just loved 4 seasons, fairly.
3.5.
3.5. And the outdoors and the greenery, it just made me feel very much at home. And I've been here ever since.
And where's he from?
Southeast
What part of the country? What part of the country?
Southeast west.
What'd you say?
I said Midwest. Really
Well,
probably more Mississippi.
It's close.
Mississippi, very good.
Hey, for the day.
Let me tell you about Woody's. William Faulkner.
Brooklyn and Chicago.
When I was at the University of Virginia as an undergraduate getting my BA in English, honor English, William Faulkner gave a couple of talks, and he was writer in residence at UVA, and Woody's accent channels Faulkner. The same soft-spoken style, with the same mustache, had the same profile. He got some Faulkner, and Woody loves to write and pun. He's a great punster too, so a geology punster. Geology puns are slower than English puns. They get there soon. But yeah, so Woody sounds like Faulkner. Okay, now where am I from? I may give this away some. You've heard me all terms, so. Generally, you guess.
Not Southeast west.
Lived in Kentucky for years. Born in New York City, born in New Rochelle, New York, but didn't start talking until I was about 2. But I lived in Tennessee and Kentucky and picked up a general Southern accent.
Wish I could have done that.
Funny thing, I went out to, I was a radio announcer my freshman year in college because I had a bass voice, and it didn't have a strong accent, and they liked the kind of a neutral pitch on the radio. But my wife and I were going to dinner at Buckhead Brewery before it closed. We sat down, and the server comes up and says, "Excuse me, the kitchen staff wants me to ask you, are you Walter Cronkite? He was about 40 years older than me at the time. Anyway. And then another time I was stopped in the hall by a graduate student I didn't even know, in the main office actually. He said, excuse me, you sound just like, and I said, Charles Osgood. He said, he's a commentator, CBS commentator. Good morning. And he said, how did you know I was going to ask that question? I said, I just felt it coming on. And I've heard of, in Charles, a kind of nasal tone, a little bit of my voice. So 2 CBS people are in the Bickley tradition of voices. Okay, now what we're going to do is introduce the song the way we introduced it in Woody's class. And